Hey, welcome to a new video. World War II was a terrible time, which hopefully never happens again. Still, from time to time, discoveries are made that are pretty strange. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. In the Wolf's Lair, Adolf Hitler's top-secret military headquarters of the Eastern Front, numerous intriguing artifacts have been discovered. Deeply hidden in the Masurian forests of Poland, this secret complex was the site of recent archaeological work that unearthed significant items, shedding light on the functioning of the refuge. Among the remarkable findings are the stairs leading to Hitler's personal barracks and two bunker doors, one of which is believed to have been part of his own bunker. These discoveries provide insights into the layout of the complex and the specific locations where a failed assassination attempt occurred in 1944. At this site, a painted flag and an engraved stone with the emblem of Hitler's Special Protection Battalion were recovered. The Wolf's Lair, with its high level of security and Hitler's extended stay of 850 days, held immense significance for the Nazi regime. Ultimately, as the war turned against them, Hitler retreated to his bunker in Berlin, and the Wolf's Lair was destroyed. A cryptography professor was walking through a flea market one day when an object caught his attention. It was a typewriter offered for sale for 100 euros. At least, that's what he thought at first, but when he looked again, he saw that it wasn't a typewriter, but a World War II encryption machine. Enigma machines, as they were called, were widely used during the war to transmit coded military messages. Alan Turing, a man who was good in math, eventually managed to crack the infamous Enigma code. The professor who bought the encryption machine had no intention of keeping it. He later offered it for auction with a starting price of 9,000 euros. It was eventually sold to an online bidder in Romania for a whopping 45,000 euros. The SS Alkimos was a Greek ship built in 1943 for World War II. During the construction, one of the workers was killed in a violent manner. Since then, other things have happened that would cause multiple spirits to hang out on this ship. People who have worked on the ship frequently discovered that their tools were mysteriously moved. They also heard footsteps following them when they were alone at night. Workers who worked on the ship or just went near the ship mysteriously became ill, injured, or even lost their lives. Over the next few years, the Alkimos was sold a total of 8 times. The reason for this was because each owner had to deal with tragedies in their lives until they decided to sell the ship again. The ship finally sailed into a reef in 1963 and sank to the bottom of the sea north of Perth, Australia. Today it's a popular dive site, but paranormal things are said to still happen around the ship. To this day, the existence of 7 systems of shelters and tunnels, collectively known as Project Riese in the Owl Mountains region, is known. Project Riese was a massive construction initiative undertaken by Nazi Germany during World War II. The purpose of this ambitious project remains shrouded in mystery, and its full extent and objectives have yet to be fully understood. Located in the Owl Mountains in present-day Poland, Project Riese involved the construction of an underground network of tunnels, bunkers, and facilities. The exact purpose of Project Riese is still a subject of debate and speculation among historians and researchers. Over the years, various theories have emerged, ranging from its potential use as Adolf Hitler's headquarters, a secret location for weapon development, to a secure storage facility for valuable artifacts. Some even suggest it could have been intended as a secret underground transportation system or a refuge for high-ranking Nazi officials. The tunnels stretch for miles or kilometers and feature intricate designs, including chambers, shafts, staircases, and even water installations. Many of these underground facilities were also equipped with heavy blast doors, ventilation systems, and other defensive measures, indicating their strategic significance. As you wander through the unoccupied territory in southeastern California and western Arizona, the last thing you would expect is a training center in the middle of the desert that dates back to 1942, where thousands of soldiers underwent brutal exercises to fight in the war. Welcome to the Desert Training Center. It had been established in the 1940s by the U.S. Army, and its purpose was to prepare soldiers to fight the German Army in North Africa. The training center had a huge area of nearly 50,000 square miles, and it was meant to mimic extreme conditions. For 2 years, a total of 13 infantry divisions and 7 armored divisions stayed there. The area included airfields, hospitals, and ammunition storage facilities. When the German Afrika Korps was defeated in 1943, the center was no longer needed, but it continued to exist for another year. Today, however, you can still see remnants of the past in the tank tracks on the ground. The invasion of Novi Sad was a military operation by the armed forces of Hungary during World War II. The troops occupied Novi Sad after the Axis invaded Yugoslavia. This operation cost the lives of over 3,000 to 4,000 Serbs, Jews, and Roma civilians. In 1971, the famous sculptor Jovan Sodarovic built this next monument, which honors the thousands of lives lost. Built on the banks of the Danube, the monument is supposed to represent a mother, a father, and 2 children. However, from afar, the figures look more like aliens than humans. Weather Station Kurt was an automatic weather station, operated by German Kriegsmarine during the World War II. It was established in October 1943 by a team of U-boat crews in a secret operation in northern Labrador, Newfoundland. This marked the only known armed German military operation on land in North America. The purpose of Weather Station Kurt was to collect meteorological data that could aid German U-boat operations in the North Atlantic. The station was equipped with advanced technology to measure temperature, wind speed, air pressure, and other crucial weather parameters. The collected data would provide valuable information for planning U-boat patrols and convoy attacks. However, their secret operation did not remain hidden for long. In 1944, Joint Canadian-American Military Expedition, codename Operation Victory, was launched to disable the German weather station. Using aerial photography and intelligence gathered from German prisoners of war, the Allies were able to pinpoint its location. In July 1945, a team of Canadian soldiers, supported by American personnel, embarked on a daring mission to dismantle the weather station. They faced logistical challenges and had to navigate rugged terrain, but their determination paid off. On August 22, 1945, they reached the location and successfully dismantled the station, effectively ending Weather Station Kurt's operation. Sometime during World War II, in a place about 30 minutes from Vienna in Austria, the Nazis found an ideal location to build the first jet fighter. The place where they did this was the Seegrotte, a huge underground cave system located under a mine. After an accidental flood, it was abandoned in 1912. For a brief period in the 1930s, it had become a tourist attraction, and years later, the Nazis took it over. As fascinating as the cave was, its 60-meter depth offered maximum protection against an Allied attack. It also provided enough cover, both literally and figuratively, because the cave was a secret to protect the Nazis long enough. The sea cave eventually housed 2,000 workers, who made the first jet fighter there. Today, a model of the infamous plane is on display. Can you imagine accidentally stumbling upon such a cave? Truk Lagoon, located in the Pacific Ocean, houses one of the most famous underwater cemeteries in the world. During World War II, Truk served as a major Japanese naval base and became the target of a devastating air attack in February 1944, known as Operation Hailstone. The attack resulted in the sinking of numerous Japanese ships and aircraft, creating the Truk Lagoon Cemetery. Truk Lagoon is scattered with the remnants of over 60 ships and 250 aircraft, most of which are left on the seabed. The sunken vessels include battleships, cruisers, destroyers, submarines, cargo ships, and even small aircraft carriers. These wrecks now serve as artificial reefs and attract divers from all around the world. Exploring the Truk Lagoon Cemetery is like a journey back in time. The wrecks are remarkably well preserved thanks to the calm, protected waters of the lagoon and the absence of strong currents. If you're a diving enthusiast, you can swim through the eerie corridors of sunken warships here, providing you with a unique diving experience. If you've ever seen any of the Mummy movies, then you're probably familiar with the Pharaoh's Curse. It's said that after the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, a series of suspicious and curse-like events took place, the responsible team of archaeologists bearing the brunt of it. During the excavation of the tomb, several artifacts were found, including 2 metal trumpet-like musical instruments. These appeared to be so-called instruments of destruction. We now fast-forward to the spring of 1939. The BBC wanted to do a live broadcast where they played the trumpets for the first time in over 3,000 years. But people soon started talking about a curse when the car of one of the television presenters was almost run off the road on the way to the studio. Also, the power went out and spare lamps didn't work. But this was also around the time that Hitler invaded Poland and World War II officially began. It was decided not to trumpet again, until 1967. Shortly thereafter, the 6-day war between Egypt and Israel began. When the trumpets were played again, the Egyptian Revolution began a week later. Maybe they better leave these cursed trumpets alone, don't you think? Number 9. The Ahnenerbe Project was a research organization established within the Nazi regime in 1935. Ahnenerbe aimed to legitimize an ideology of Aryan supremacy. One of the main objectives of the project was to provide archaeological evidence to support the belief that the Aryan race, considered superior by the Nazis, descended from Norse gods. The Ahnenerbe project received significant funds and resources, with millions of dollars allocated for its efforts. The focus of the project was on exploring ancient sites and artifacts, particularly those associated with Germanic and Norse cultures. They attempted to find archaeological evidence that ancient Germanic tribes were direct descendants of gods and inherently superior to other races. However, the project's efforts were largely unsuccessful, and they failed to find solid evidence during their quests. Adolf Hitler was an ambitious man, and one of his ambitions was to build the greatest cannon ever. The Gustav gun was over 46 meters long and over 12 meters high, and weighed almost 1,350 tons, and weighing almost 1,350 tons. The purpose of the cannon was to destroy the fortifications on the French border that lay along the Maginot Line. As you might expect, the cannon was not particularly easy to use. For example, it took long to fire and cost a whopping $67 million. In addition, it required a crew of 250 soldiers and engineers. The Gustav cannon ended up firing only 48 shots because it turned out that its size made it an easy target for the Allied pilots. It was therefore also quickly decommissioned, and only later were the remains of the cannons found in eastern Germany. In 2016, a Russian archaeologist shocked the world with the news of a terrifying discovery in the snowy mountains of Bolshoi in Russia. He found a mysterious suitcase filled with alien-like skulls. What makes the discovery even more fascinating is that the alleged connection to Ahnenerbe. Which was known for its pseudoscientific experiments during World War II. But what is the link between this obscure Nazi organization and the eerie find in Russia? As we ponder the origin and significance of this suitcase of skulls, it remains one of the many mysteries from a dark chapter in history. What do you think the Nazis were doing there? And could they have truly had contact with something supernatural or extraterrestrial? Let me know in the comments. Meet Neil Packer, a paranormal investigator who collects similar items. He's responsible for founding UK's first antique paranormal research center. One day when he came across a wheelchair from World War II, he quickly realized that it was possessed. According to him, the wheelchair was said to be possessed by hundreds of spirits belonging to a World War II rehabilitation hospital. Neil described his experience of sitting in the chair as painful, and said it was like his leg was being chopped off as soon as he sat in it. He decided one day to take the chair with him to a TV show. And what happened during the broadcast was very strange. The presenter sat down in the possessed chair, and at one point it looked like his leg had disappeared. Pretty creepy. So would this chair actually be possessed? What do you think? The mystery of the ghost blimp refers to an incident that occurred on August 16, 1942, involving a U.S. Navy blimp named L-8. The blimp took off near San Francisco with a crew of 2 experienced pilots. However, it became the center of attention when it was found unmanned and drifting several hours later. It had been on a routine mission that day, but after a short time in the air, it veered off course and headed out to the sea. When it failed to respond to radio calls, the Navy sent aircraft to investigate. Hours later, the blimp was discovered floating over the ocean, intact but with no signs of the crew. The mysterious disappearance of the crew led to widespread speculation and theories. Some suggested that the pilots had suffered an accident, while others believed that they might have encountered enemy activity, leading to a forced evacuation. However, no definitive explanation has ever been found. The incident earned the nickname Ghost Blimp due to the eerie circumstances surrounding the unmanned aircraft. The Navy conducted an investigation but couldn't find any concrete evidence or determine the fate of the crew. The case remains unsolved to this day, and over the years, various theories have emerged, including suggestions of a secret mission or an encounter with a UFO. It took businessman Alfredo Etchegaray a lot of effort and some $5 million to make this stunning discovery in 2006. He had salvaged it from the wreck of the German battleship Graf Spee in the shallow waters just outside the capital of Uruguay. The discovery in question was a huge bronze eagle. During the war, this statue decorated the bow of the German battleship. The bronze eagle weighed a whopping 317 kilograms and had a terrifying wingspan of nearly 3 meters. This strange discovery, however, was not without its consequences. A legal battle followed, in which Alfredo came into conflict with the government with his claims to have the eagle. A legal battle followed in which Alfredo came into conflict with the government with his claim to the eagle. He eventually sold it to have it displayed at a museum. During World War II, numerous pilots reported sightings of mysterious aerial phenomena known as Foo Fighters. One such sighting occurred in May 1945, when a German pilot observed a Foo Fighter near Carinthia, Germany. The term Foo Fighters was coined by Allied pilots and is derived from the French word feu, meaning fire. Foo Fighters were described as glowing orbs exhibiting unconventional flight characteristics. They often appeared as luminous spheres, disks, or elongated shapes and were usually reported as red, orange, or white in color. The encounter of a German pilot with a Foo Fighter near Carinthia added to the growing catalog of unexplained aerial phenomena observed during World War II. The pilot described the UFO as a bright, pulsating object that followed his aircraft with remarkable agility. The Foo Fighter maintained a consistent distance and speed, and defied the laws of physics as it maneuvered effortlessly through the air. The sightings, however, were not limited to one side of the conflict. Strangely, both German, Italian, and Japanese pilots, as well as American, British, and Soviet forces, reported similar experiences. This led to speculation about the origin and nature of Foo Fighters. The objects were often mistaken for enemy aircraft or secret weapons, but neither side could definitely explain their presence or purpose. Some people believe that extraterrestrial beings might come to observe the war. Do you believe this? The ship discovered through Google Earth is quite mysterious. This is mainly because one does not know if it's a World War II ship or a secret ship ready to provide a safe haven for the world's elite in the event of the apocalypse. The discovery was made by a Google Earth user who called himself Earth Watchman. In response to an anonymous tip, he discovered an out-of-place landmark off the coast of Antarctica. Later, a YouTube video revealed more details about the truly mysterious vessel. It's believed to be a 121-meter-long ice ship. At first glance, it looks like a block of ice, but if you look closely, you can see the details of a cruise ship, complete with chimneys and a deck. Some people think that there might be a former secret Nazi base here, because there's rumors that the Nazis were in Antarctica at the time. According to declassified CIA documents, there were suspicions that Adolf Hitler might have escaped to Colombia and remained alive at least until the 1950s. The documents revealed that a former SS soldier claimed to have had regular contact with Hitler in Colombia, and even provided a photograph as evidence. The report submitted by the head of the CIA bureau in Venezuela stated that the informant, Philip Citrione, alleged to have met Hitler during his travels from Maracaibo to Colombia, while working for a shipping company. These alleged sightings have been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories over the years. While the CIA took the claims seriously enough to investigate them, concrete evidence of Hitler's survival has never been found. Historically, it's widely accepted that Hitler's last moments were in the Berlin bunker in 1945. His body was reportedly discovered by Soviet soldiers and later buried in an unmarked grave. Speculations about Hitler's escape to South America have been fueled by the discovery of other high-ranking Nazis in Argentina and Brazil, such as Adolf Eichmann and Joseph Mengele. Paradummies were military decoy dolls first used during World War II. Operation Titanic, as it was called, went as follows. Hundreds of dummy paratroopers were dropped kilometers away from the scene to distract the German troops. These dummies were made of burlap, which was filled with grain or sand. In addition, they looked like ordinary soldiers to the German troops from afar. These dummies also carried sound recordings of gunfire to make them more convincing. They were made so that when they landed, they destroyed themselves. So few of them remained, but occasionally one turns up. Believe it or not, they sometimes sell for thousands of dollars at auctions. Hitler's globe was a significant artifact located at the Berghof, his mountain residence in the Bavarian Alps. The globe, which was over 3 feet or 1 meter in diameter, occupied a prominent place in his study. However, it wasn't an ordinary globe, but a custom-made version that depicted Germany's territorial expansive plans. The globe featured a customized world map, highlighting areas conquered by Germany and future objectives, in line with Hitler's vision of a dominant German empire. It reflected his megalomaniacal worldview and a belief in the superiority of the Aryan race and the German people. Hitler often studied the globe, tracing with his finger the areas he wanted to conquer and exert control over. It became a focal point in his strategic discussions and decision-making, as he imagined German influence spreading across Europe and beyond. After the end of World War II, the Berghof was destroyed, and much of its contents, including the globe, were lost. Years later, it was discovered by a soldier and sold for $65,000. In the German state of Bavaria, hidden in the mountains in a remote forest, there's a secret Nazi bunker. Very few people know about it, but this is said to be the same underground complex where Adolf Hitler himself stayed. The bunker consists of several rooms where other senior Nazi officers stayed. The tunnel stretched for over 6 kilometers. All of this was accessed through a concrete doorway carved into the mountainside. Above it all is Alpine paradise. Indeed, the place is surrounded by the beautiful towering Alps and has houses with terracotta tiles, flower fields, and domed churches. The secret bunker also appeared to have room for medical personnel and even entire families. In addition, it had air ventilation systems, central heating, priceless works of art, and a cellar filled with wine and champagne. After its discovery, the bunker passed through several hands, including that of the US Army, before it was eventually handed back to Germany. The Nazi gold legend revolves around the alleged hidden treasure of Nazi leaders believed to be in the Lake Toplitz in Australia. It's believed that the Nazis dumped crates of gold and other valuable items into the lake as they retreated in the war's final days. Lake Toplitz is deep in the rainforest, about 61 miles or 98 kilometers from Salzburg. Various witnesses, including local residents and the nephew of Nazi SS officer Ernst Kaltenbrunner, claim that the crates are hidden in the lake. While earlier expeditions have uncovered artifacts and counterfeit money, the existence of the extensive Nazi gold treasure remains unconfirmed. Divers and treasure hunters have attempted to reach the alleged loot, buried 338 feet or 103 meters below the lake's surface. However, exploration is hindered by hazardous conditions, including a layer of sunken tree trunks and branches. Several people have even lost their lives while attempting to retrieve the treasure. During a snowy winter in 1978, a man drove a tank through his town and used it as a snowplow. Years later, both became infamous. The man, who was from Germany, owned a museum of World War II gear. In 2015, authorities forced their way into his home in the municipality of Heikendorf. Although they had expected to find works of art, they couldn't believe their eyes when they saw the largest occupancy of his basement, a giant Panther tank. One of the most feared tanks that was terrifying in its firepower, speed, and armor during the war. It ended up in a basement of an 84-year-old man. It was stored alongside a host of other Nazi memorabilia, including mannequins dressed in Nazi uniforms, SS lights, and the same warrior statue with a sword that once stood in front of Hitler's chancellery in Berlin. It took the soldiers about 9 hours to remove everything. The man was eventually fined nearly $300,000 for the illegal belongings. Have you ever wondered where Hitler might be buried? This remains a subject of speculation to this day, and is unlikely to ever be officially disclosed. However, another wooden casket was found, built during World War II by James Alexander Shute. James decided to contribute to the war effort through fundraising activities by creating a wooden casket. He invited people to donate a penny for the war effort and drive a nail into Hitler's coffin. The casket eventually ended up in the possession of his neighbor and was later purchased by the National Army Museum in New Zealand. While Hitler wasn't buried in the casket, another casket was discovered by the son of an antique collector. It's a sealed casket that reportedly contains actual hair and a gold foil cover. What we see here is Hitler's Flytrap structure, and the structure is shrouded in many mysteries. It's located in a village in Silesia, Poland, and is surrounded by many trees. It's also called Hitler's Stonehenge because it has no official name. The Nazis supposedly left it behind and then never returned to retrieve it or explain its purpose. Theories about the purpose of this structure vary. Some claim it was a launch pad for UFOs, or that they were building a flying saucer. Other people say it's on top of Project Riese, a large-scale and secret construction project with a series of secret tunnels. What do you think the purpose of this structure was? Let me know in the comments. So far, you can tell that the Nazis had quite ambitious plans, and after the war, the United States didn't want to lose all that knowledge. Operation Paperclip was a secret intelligence operation conducted by the United States in the aftermath of World War II. Its primary objective was to recruit and provide sanctuary for German scientists, engineers, and technicians, particularly those involved in Nazi Germany's advanced development programs. The operation began in 1945 and lasted until 1959. Under Operation Paperclip, over 1,600 German scientists, including notable figures like Wernher von Braun, were brought to the United States. These individuals were granted immunity from prosecution for their past activities, in exchange for sharing their expertise and knowledge. The recruitment of these German scientists were driven by the desire to gain a technological advantage over the Soviet Union during the early years of the Cold War. America aimed to harness the expertise of these individuals, especially in the fields of rocketry, aerospace engineering, and other advanced technologies. What if I told you that one of the most powerful warships in history, the Bismarck, is still as almost good as new at the bottom of the ocean? It was discovered in 1989 by American oceanographer Robert Ballard, the same man who found the Titanic. His talent for finding historic wrecks led him to the Bismarck. At a depth of more than 4,572 meters in the ocean, a few hundred kilometers west of the city of Brest in France. What makes the 41,000-ton Bismarck so infamous is its history as one of the world's most powerful warships. At one time, it was the key to the Nazis' plan to blockade Britain. In 1941, during one of its sightings, practically the entire British Army was sent out to destroy it in the name of control of the North Atlantic. It took a week-long chase, a torpedo, and an all-night fight to finally sink the ship, along with 2,300 German sailors. The Moss tank, also known as the Panzerkampfwagen VII Moss, was a super-heavy tank developed by Nazi Germany during World War II. It was intended to be the largest and most heavily armored tank ever built. However, only 2 prototypes were constructed, and neither saw combat. Today, one of these prototypes is on display at the Kubinka Tank Museum near Moscow, Russia. The tank was a technical marvel, weighing approximately 188 tons, with exceptionally thick armor up to 8.7 inches or 220 millimeters in some places. It was powered by a massive 1,200 horsepower engine, allowing it to reach a top speed of about 13 miles per hour or 21 kilometers per hour. After the war, the remaining Moss prototype was captured by the Soviet Union and taken to the Kubinka Tank Museum, where it remains on display. The tank's enormous size and advanced technology make it a captivating attraction for visitors, especially those interested in military history and technology. Although the tank never achieved its intended combat purposes, just the sight of it's enough to evoke awe in others. Could you imagine what it would be like if this thing had been deployed in combat? One of the creepiest discoveries of World War II is due to a mysterious puzzle. In the 1940s, the British newspaper The Telegraph published a number of puzzles with answers such as Utah, Overlord, Omaha, Mulberry, Neptune, and Dieppe. These were all code words for the planned invasion of Normandy. On August 18, 1942, the newspaper had published a crossword puzzle with the word Dieppe. A day later, the Allies launched an attack on the port of Dieppe. On May 2, 1944, the crossword puzzle gave a clue to number 17 and the word Utah. This happened to be a code name for a branch of the U.S. Army's 4th Infantry Division. The pattern went on like this several times and was later investigated by the Secret Service. According to them, the crossword puzzles would have been a coincidence because their creator was a 54-year-old school principal. Do you think this would have been just a coincidence? The documentary series Hunting Hitler delves into a fascinating FBI case that has remained unsolved for 70 years, investigating whether Adolf Hitler survived World War II. In one episode, the investigators embark on an intense manhunt to uncover the truth by exploring a Nazi house in the jungle. A team of renowned researchers, guided by historical evidence and witness testimonies, ventured into the remote jungle to search for any sign of possible presence. The Nazi house became the focal point of their quest as they meticulously examined the location for clues and remnants that might shed light on the story. The significance of this investigation lies in the ongoing mystery surrounding Hitler's death. With conspiracy theories suggesting alternative scenarios, such as his escape to South America, we all know Hitler wanted to maintain a certain lifestyle, and his house, no matter how remote it is in the jungle, featured 2 bedrooms, custom-made tiles, and an above-average standard of living. Do you think this house was used by a high-ranking Nazi officer, or perhaps even Hitler himself? Let me know in the comments. It was by complete coincidence during a harpooning contest that a Junkers Ju-87 aircraft was discovered in the Adriatic Sea off the coast of Croatia. Divers found it in September of 2014 and made history with this find. The Junkers Ju-87 was both a dive bomber and a ground attack aircraft. When it made a dive, you could hear a terrifying siren-like sound, giving people on the ground a great fright. The plane was found standing on the seabed at a depth of about 28 meters. For a plane that's been in the ocean for decades, it's still almost completely intact. Moreover, it doesn't really look like a wreck. The V-2 rocket was the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile and was primarily used against Allied targets, particularly in the later stages of the war. It was powered by a liquid fuel engine and had a range of about 200 miles or 320 kilometers. It could reach speeds of up to 3,480 miles per hour or 5,600 kilometers per hour and could carry a warhead of about 1 ton. The rocket was launched vertically and reached a maximum altitude of about 60 miles or 97 kilometers before descending at supersonic speeds towards its target. Approximately 4,000 V-2 rockets were assembled at various locations, with Peenemünde located at the Harz Mountain in central Germany, being the primary production site. The production of the V-2 rocket was a complex and large-scale operation involving various components such as engines, guidance systems, and warheads. They were transported to large sites and fired at targets in England, Belgium, and other Allied areas. Many of the German scientists who work on the V-2 program, including Werner von Braun, were later recruited by the United States as part of Operation Paperclip. Finding a World War II bomb shelter in your apartment building after going through an old closet is pretty unusual, huh? That's exactly what happened when a woman named Mia Gray was cleaning out her pantry in her apartment and made the discovery of a lifetime. During World War II, Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, was bombed dozens of times. At the time, several shelters were built. Most of these were placed in courtyards and gardens. The shelter that Mia found was in an unusual place, namely in an apartment building. What she found in the shelter included bunk beds, war signs, and a reinforced roof. The Aryan golden cauldron is a controversial artifact that has sparked legal disputes due to its claims of association with Nazi Germany. The story of the cauldron begins with its discovery at the bottom of Germany's Chiemsee Lake, where it was found in 2001 by Jens Esse. Initially, it was believed that the cauldron was an ancient golden vessel from pre-Christian times, but doubts arose regarding its age and origin, leading to a battle over ownership. Josef Hottenbuehler, who purchased the cauldron in 2014 for a significant amount, ultimately filed a lawsuit against Jens. Josef claims that James repeatedly encouraged him to buy the cauldron, asserting that it was an authentic Celtic artifact with a special significance. However, there are suggestions that the cauldron might be the work of Nazi goldsmith Otto Gar, commissioned by a member of the Nazi Party. Operation Bernhard was a secret operation conducted with the aim of destabilizing the economies of enemy countries by flooding them with counterfeit banknotes. The operation was named after its originator, Bernhard Kruger. It began in 1942 and involved a team of skilled counterfeiters, many of whom were Jewish prisoners from concentration camps. These prisoners were forced to produce counterfeit British pounds and American dollars, as well as other currencies with meticulous attention to detail. The counterfeit banknotes were designed to be indistinguishable from genuine ones. The primary target of Operation Bernhard was the British economy, as the Nazis wanted to undermine the value and confidence in British currency. The counterfeit banknotes were so convincing that they were widely circulated in various countries, including Britain, causing significant disruptions to their economies. It also had the potential to sow chaos in financial systems and undermine the trust in legitimate currency. As the war neared its end and Allied forces approached, the operation was scaled down and eventually discontinued. The counterfeit notes that were not used were dumped in Austria's Lake Toplitz to conceal evidence of the operation. An interesting fact is that Operation Bernhard is known as one of the largest counterfeiting operations in history. The USS Lexington, also known as Lady Lex, holds a significant place in the history of maritime warfare. As one of the iconic aircraft carriers of the United States, the USS Lexington played a crucial role in World War II. It participated in nearly every major operation in the Pacific Ocean. Aircraft squadrons engaged in intense aerial combat, successfully destroying 372 enemy planes in the air and an additional 475 on the ground. They had a profound impact on the outcome of various confrontations and provided vital support to Allied forces. In 2018, the ship was discovered in the Coral Sea, approximately 497 miles or 800 kilometers off the coast of Australia. While the ship played a pivotal role, it was scuttled in May of 1942 to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. The discovery of the ship in relatively good condition marked a remarkable achievement in the field of marine archaeology. It's well known that after World War II, many high-ranking Nazis fled to Argentina. But years later, Interpol agents discovered something that they had left behind. On June 8, 2017, in a suburb of Buenos Aires, a hidden passageway to a secret room was found that probably houses the largest collection of Nazi artifacts. During the raid, Argentina police, working with Interpol, discovered something very special. Hidden behind a seemingly innocent-looking bookshelf was a secret passageway, with a room containing about 75 Nazi objects. Among the objects was a magnifying glass used by Adolf Hitler himself. The objects were hidden for so long that officials believe they may have been stolen from high Nazi officials and eventually sold through an underground secret market. The Fuhrer bunker had a significant role during the final days of Adolf Hitler's life, in the concluding phase of World War II. Located 28 feet or 8.5 meters beneath the ruins of Berlin, the bunker served as the fortified headquarters and residence of Hitler. Constructed with concrete walls, it provided shelter and protection from the escalating Soviet artillery attacks. The interior of the bunker comprised various rooms and facilities, including living quarters for Hitler and his entourage, a meeting room, a study, a dining area, and a communication center. The bunker was equipped with ventilation systems, generators, and other essential amenities to support daily life underground. After Hitler's death on April 30th, 1945, the significance of the bunker diminished, and today it no longer exists in its original form. It's been partially demolished and lies beneath the parking lot of an apartment complex. The site is marked with historical plaques, but most of the bunker is inaccessible to the public. Interestingly, above the remnants of Hitler's bunker now stands a children's playground. This contrast between a playground and a historical site serves as a poignant reminder of the transformation Berlin has undergone since the war. According to a legend, at the end of World War II, the Nazis allegedly stuffed a 100-meter-long train full of 300 tons of gold and other valuables, including the Amber Room. It's thought that they hid this train in an underground tunnel in the new Polish town of Walsberg. The legend was born when a local miner saw several German soldiers filling the train with treasures. However, the train was never found, despite many searches. And to this day, the mystery remains unsolved. Do you think this train really existed? What do you think the most scary discovery was? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.